planning process. Basically, again, just to get us on point and give us that roadmap. I try to use analogies, so thinking about if this is kind of like our GPS, the strategic plan. So we're trying to, I don't know, go to California, and there's a lot of different routes and everything. So this is just helping us plan which one's most fuel efficient, time efficient, and all of those aspects too. Going into the planning phase, there are 4 main phases of this. So the first one is just an introduction and kind of reminder of our role and work. So this will go into looking into all of the documents that kind of govern the Human Rights Commission or the different ordinances that we uphold, just to make sure that we're getting that refresher, or for our newer commissioners that we can have just like, again, like another view of that, just to make sure that we understand it as well as possible. And then for our older commissioners, it's kind of just like hopefully like a light bulb moment to add additional context of just, oh, well, this happened, and here's some contextual factors that newer members wouldn't get outside of the document. So hopefully that can help get us on the same page with sharing information overall. And then phase 2 would be looking into doing just like a very quick baseline assessment of what are we doing well, what are our areas for improvement, what are opportunities that we might want to pursue, and what are different obstacles that we should be anticipating as we move forward as well. Once we have all of those aspects outlined, then we can look into developing goals related to our strengths of how can we continue to continue to make these our strengths or amplify them and sustain them. For our weaknesses, how can we build goals around addressing those? For opportunities, how can we make goals around making that happen? And for threats, how can we go around making goals for prevention or mitigation with that? And then the 4th phase would basically just be, once we have those goals, of just determining what is needed to make sure that that goal takes place, or that we can fulfill it or achieve it or make progress towards it. Who would be the person probably in charge of that, and then how are we going to measure that progress as well? So if it's like outreach to the community, maybe our goal is within a year we're going to reach out to 10 community organizations for this particular population or identity or something like that. So we can easily measure that by saying there's 10, we met with 10 or reached out to 10 groups, so we did that goal. So it's kind of just helping to add that aspect to it. And then kind of going to the next phase, or not phase, but talking point of priority areas. These haven't changed since the last one. Try to, again, fix up some of the language for it, but one is just, again, commissioner, governance, and organization. So just thinking about how we function as a team in general, in terms of thinking about recruitment for new commissioners, what's their onboarding process, for commissioners that are leaving, what's their offboarding process, how do we maintain that institutional knowledge as much as possible, so that we don't have to, start from anew. And then also thinking about succession planning, whether that is for leadership within the commission, thinking about document storage, if there's a way to make that as accessible and easy to access for people as well. Hopefully with all of those things can just happen a lot more, it can be more streamlined and efficient, so that when people are coming onto the board, they don't have to take as much time to get adjusted. There's just something in place so that they can be more involved and invested basically as soon as they come on. So that's basically the governance and organization priority area. And of course, these are just example topics, so it could be less, it could be more nuanced and detailed, but these are just some things that were coming to mind overall. The next would be communications. So essentially thinking about our branding, our marketing, our community outreach of how do people know what HRC is? Are we doing like staple events that we're always attending? Our newsletter, website, so just building out goals on how we can better address that, since that's been something that's come up a lot, and also in newer developments of our work, our scope of work. That community outreach aspect is going to be really important to have certain goals to figure out how we can best go about that. And then the third aspect, our priority area, would be our project work and ordinances. So building out goals of how we can better, work within our projects or work within the context of the ordinances of how we can amplify that or sustain it to make sure that we are being as efficient as possible and effective as well. So that might be determining priority projects. We've also had discussions around unplanned, in the moment projects that kind of just pop up that we may not have been anticipating. So what's the process for how we are going to address those issues or projects that come up, as opposed to just we're just going to figure it out on the spot. We have certain things that we need to either talk about or consider so that we can handle that as efficiently as possible. And then also just thinking about the project management aspect, that there's certain steps that we can take to record that information or to share that out as well. And with some of these priority areas, some of them will overlap between each other, but these are the three main ones that I feel like have been coming up from what I've been seeing in my time here at least. So hopefully this resonates and sounds like something that, again, when we're thinking about our destination, it's more so around just how we can get to that destination as safely, effectively, and efficiently as possible. So hopefully these three categories and priority areas will help us get to that point. In terms of kind of getting that assessment aspect and thinking about just the most simple analysis aspect, have the SWOT analysis to again look at our strengths in relation to these priority areas, our weaknesses in relation to these opportunities and our threats, and then thinking about just SMARTY goals, making sure that it is, I forgot what all the letters meant, but specific, measurable, attainable,
realistic.
Yeah, realistic.
Time is the key.
Yes, time. And then I wanted to add the IE part for inclusivity and equity as well, because I think that is central to our work. And then also recognizing that we're going to have a lot of ideas, a lot of goals and everything too, so not everything is going to be feasible to be within this plan, but we can still have a parking lot to at least keep those ideas or those desires for future activities. Again, just to be very realistic with what can be achieved in this process. Have a timeline, which again, I'm not really great at estimating time, so it might not be, it's pretty ambitious overall, but essentially wanted to get approval of the proposal so that we can kind of just hit the ground running overall, and then create a very quick survey. I already have a very rough draft that can be sent out, and then for the city council, and then for the commissioners, it would most likely be more so of a worksheet in a way to capture additional information. So hopefully that can get to the quantitative aspect that was mentioned before. So yeah, basically just trying to get all that information in one space and then compiling it together to see where things are overlapping, what are unique qualities that are coming up as well. And then once we have that information, again, we can build goals around how to address or better support certain things that are coming up in those areas. It's important that we have some type of buckets so that we're not just all over the place as well. So hopefully that can help with just narrowing and making things, again, as efficient as possible, giving our capacity overall too. Let's see. So yeah, all the information would go out, and then hopefully by the end of March, around that time, all that information can get back to us. So that gives around 2 weeks. So it's not too long to the point where people will hopefully just not do it and everything, but it's also enough time to actually think about it and have some time to engage with it or ask questions and all of that too. So hopefully that 2-week period is ideal. And then additionally, the planning committee could help in terms of just compiling that data into just identifying key information that needs to be presented to the board overall. And then hopefully that can be done by the April meeting, and then for the rest of April, basically just planning out what the kind of like strategic planning retreat would look like. And at the April meeting, we would identify a time that works for hopefully everyone and all the commissioners and council members, and hopefully get that on the books. And then the planning committee can just like book the location, book lunch, and publish it for the public as well, and then just kind of handle some of those background logistics. So that would give us still like basically a month to put that entire thing together. And then hopefully in early to mid-May, we can have that session. I said 4 hours. I don't know if that is like a good amount of time. Again, I'm not great at estimating amounts of time, but hopefully that gives us enough time to actually have conversations, review information as well, for that session as well. Since we have basically a month before it happens, hopefully we can also just kind of brainstorm some tentative goals that might come up, that may already be in our heads, but kind of just jotting it down to, again, just be prepared for that session. And then the part where it's kind of TBD is after that, when it comes to building out the action steps, measurements, point persons, that could be potentially in the planning session. We may need more time as well, depending on what the goals are. We may just like need to explore and think about that more before we actually know what action steps need to happen, or like who can take charge of that. So that is kind of like in limbo right now. It kind of depends more so on what the actual session will look like. And then the final pieces are pretty straightforward, of just making this into like a very easy to read document, and making sure that it is shared with the respective people that it needs to be shared with. And also hopefully adding, I don't know if it's possible, hopefully it's possible, but adding somewhere on our agendas just like a strategic planning update, so that we can make sure that it's not just something that we put all this work into and then it just goes into the drawer and we don't see it ever again. So hopefully that can be a way that we can continue to help with evaluation, progress tracking, and make sure that we're still on track with everything. And then hopefully just having like a very quick, brief conversation or evaluation of what this process was like and what this might look like in the future, in terms of what was effective, what's not effective, what we want to continue to do or not do. But yeah, that is the plan. A lot of words, but hopefully you can see that it's still as comprehensive as it can be, but also hopefully simple enough to help with the capacity aspect of it too. And a lot of these things, I feel like from my work already, I already have either it in my head or documents already made that I can just adapt to our needs as well. So there shouldn't hopefully be too much, I guess, like extra work or like too much of an ask for the commissioners as well, or yeah, people that we're seeking info from. But yeah, that is the plan right now. So
Questions?
No question, I was going to move that we adopt the plan as described.
I got lots of
Oh,
questions.
okay,
Yeah.
sorry. That would come under discussion.
a second.
Yeah.
But I do think rather than
So thank you for all of this work.
Yes,
It's amazing.
It is.
But my one comment would be quantitative measures
yes.
and the ordinance. For me, a goal session for us is the ordinance. Like, we have to operate within the ordinance, and so,
Yeah.
like, the goals are already set. You know what I mean? So like the
Yeah.
first step wouldn't be to look at what goals we want to pursue. But but to acknowledge that we pursue the goals as laid out in the ordinance. But I also think that we're not capturing all the work that the commission does if we don't do quantitative measurements, and I'll tell you why. I can't answer the question how many community meetings we should try to do, since I don't know what it was like for those that actually did the presentations to do even 10. Like, how long did that take them? How long did it take them to develop the materials? Because we're only, a volunteer membership, and if we can capture the number of hours that people put in, perhaps in the future there's an opportunity to request, more staff time. because then those numbers will support the work that we've been doing, and it's very difficult to expand, right, and meet the need. So that's my one desire is time, how much time have people put in? What goals in the ordinance did that time, right, facilitate the achievement of? And then efficiency, how long did it take? And that's a value driven, which I like, right? I don't know, 2 weeks to complete a complaint, investigation from beginning to end. I can't say whether that's a long time or short time.
Depends on the complaint. Depends on the complaint.
But I mean, it just is, and that's why I can't fit it into the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, right, or threat framework, because it's none of those. It's just
And we
what
don't do
it
the
is.
same thing all the time. We don't do the same thing twice, ever.
But still, we do complaints. We put time into complaints,
Yes,
right?
But I think, yes, capturing the time and just getting even an estimate would be helpful.
So do we have anything that captures that information, though?
No.
I can
We
go
don't
back.
currently, but what we do have is history.
Yeah.
When this group was officially recognized by the city with staff, and there were 2 staff, there was a director and then there was an investigator, correct? From its initial entry.
Oh, you mean when there was a Department
When
of
it was a
Human Rights?
department.
Years
Well,
and
was
Well,
there-
years
that
was
was
ago.
2002, though.
It may have been, but it at least gives
It's
us a
the
jumping off
baseline.
point, it's the foundation.
Like,
And then we're gonna take that when it was ended, and then subsequently kind of put on pause and then resurrect it, thankfully. But now as what we are.
I don't think we have
Yeah,
that
because
data
the work
there.
the hours that you all put into the contractor provisions, by trying to ensure fair hiring, it was a lot. I mean, from what I observed, right, from determining who the contractors were with the city.
We
That's
actually,
purchasing.
no,
Yeah.
that's not that.
Well,
That's-
it kind of
Isn't
is.
that-
What happens with that
Mm-hmm.
is we get the data from purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
And then based on that data, they give us, I do spreadsheets, I print it, and
Yeah.
then I
That's true.
devote.
That's probably
So I
something we do
probably
the
do
same
a
time,
couple of hours
once a
because
year.
I'm compiling that data in summary
Right.
form to give us,
Right.
the exact numbers.
Yeah.
But it's a once-a-year thing.
Yeah.
Well, but still, it makes it clear, okay, that's a task that's well within a volunteer framework.
And we certainly can ask about, ask people to keep their times when they handle their complaints.
I did keep my time in drafting resolutions, so I can actually give you contemporaneous numbers when we, well, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I don't know about the SWAT stuff and Smarty stuff, but some of this is sort of captured indirectly in his strategic plan priority areas, like resource and capacity mapping. You have to kind of know what time frame has been used before. I mean, we can define these any way we want, is what I'm saying, in the priority areas.
But we don't, but conceptually,
Yeah.
I think quantitative measures should be pulled out.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm saying, because the future of the commission's work
Right,
can really be built on that, the request for budget,
right.
to
That's
assistance just for materials.
So how would you change this, just so that we can approve something?
Right,
What
so
would you?
our strategic plan has, these quantitative measures, like in the executive summary, because I'm sure city council won't get much further than our, succinct.
I feel like, wasn't this like phase 2, conduct a quick baseline assessment of the commission? I feel like quantitatively assessing the commission at baseline would be part of that.
But I guess I'm saying that stuff we could each do on our own time. We don't need to take up meeting time with that. If it's just an assignment, bring in the amount of time that
Okay.
you estimate that you spent, right? It's a different thing than let's bounce ideas off of where we want to go with a
Yeah.
particular.
And I would say for
roadmap.
framing as well too, that quite a bit of this will be more so outside of these meetings in terms of, again, kind of just like sharing your experiences. And I think when it comes to the quantitative aspect, I think when we are setting goals and we're having conversations around like goal setting, that's when the quantitative part is like added in a way, because we have to kind of see like when it comes to making sure that the goal is feasible, then we need like that quantitative aspect. But it doesn't sound like we have that data in the
No,
first
right.
place.
But that's but that's not a goal. The goal, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, the goals are set in the ordinance. What we're doing is heavy strategy sessions, right?
Yeah, so I'm more so saying like the goals are set, but what are our goals for kind of achieving those goals of the ordinances? Like, what is our process going to be? What are we striving to do to achieve?
Right.
Our strategy.
Yeah, my understanding was a lot of this work that we would do in advance, like the stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
This isn't stuff that you intended we would do at the retreat, which is limited in time. We would,
Yeah.
this is the prep work, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
We
yeah,
would
no.
think about how long does it take us to do X, Y, and Z. We come with that. Maybe we've already even come up with a summary. I don't know.
Okay, let me explain what I'm
Not on
saying.
that committee, but that's why I took you to me.
Yeah.
I have spent a good bit of time with every interview trying to clarify with people what our mission is, right? What it is within the bounds that we are authorized to do.
Yeah.
And I think it would be helpful if we could pull that out in an organized way, so that there's something on, we've got the ordinance on the website, but not, it's not like user-friendly broken out, like, we can do complaints, but not, we can't investigate every possible legal issue that may arise from a particular intervention, and we do referrals out to agencies that do. I just feel like it would be really helpful to be able to lay out that statement, that we're ordinance constrained. I'm happy to be ordinance constrained. It gives us some focus.
Yeah.
But I guess I just don't want to get to a place where we have to, in order to fulfill the strategic plan, approach city council and ask for the kind of expansions that we do during the year when we discover a particular issue, right? And then,
It does say in Phase 1, introduction, reminder of the role and work of the HRC. So that's sort of where we're starting, is to read. And, our duties, it's not just the non-discrimination ordinance. Our duties are laid out, in a separate part of the ordinance, and it's kind of broad. It's like address human rights issues in the city of Ann Arbor, advise. So in that sense,
I
we're
know
not
that
all that
at
constrained.
the last meeting, we said we were going to do a grid. We said we were going to do a grid, we were going to take all the goals out of the ordinance, lay it out on a grid, and then record our data on that grid. That was,
I didn't do that.
yeah, we did talk about that, though. It was at the end of the last meeting. And we all said, oh, yeah, it's a good idea. And then there were people that said they would help with that.
Point of clarification.
I remember.
Are you referring to the collaboration document to like review the work on the strategic plan? I believe that was the discussion.
It was the discussion towards the end of the meeting?
Yep, this is.
Yeah,
this is
and one-
and it was a discussion on how to create collaborative documents to
Right,
review and work on
and-
the strategic plan. And I believe the discussion was to possibly create a Google
Yeah,
document.
Vanessa
That
was,
was for the
Vanessa
SWOT.
was going to.
So
With
then,
the-
yeah, that was.
But my hope was if we could grid that out, we could just put the, information that we have right in the document, and it'll just be there, and we don't have to spend time during the meeting, and it'll just be done, right? That was all, just as a sort of
Yes, sir.
precursor
Right.
data collection, right, before the meeting that you've got laid out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want a grid where we can record all the information that we will be discussing, and it'll all be lined up already, right? And make it
Yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah, that's a part of the process in terms of, let me see what
So
it's at.
for me, it would be like 0, right, before phase 1 would be, yeah.
Yeah, so that right now is like, it's in phase 1 of like compiling all of those documents, all of like the information that we need to
Yeah.
like assess to
It-
make sure
it-
that we can move forward. That
is-
would be a part of like the
Do you want me to do the spreadsheet? I'm happy to set it up. I can do the
Set it up.
database. I can
I
do
think
the
Vanessa
grid.
was going to do something, but she
Okay.
didn't,
So, right, is that okay? I'll do
I-
that part.
Yeah.
Believe so. If I'm understanding correctly, essentially it would be a spreadsheet of all of the like
Ordinance,
ordinances, the
The-
like,
not-
bylaws, all that.
just duties from the ordinance. Like, we
Okay.
are charged in the ordinance. Here are the goals of the, right, the goals are.
So it's just like a
it's-
breakdown of each of the ordinances.
Each one would be in a different category, right?
Okay.
So, and then under that, we would have so many complaints investigated, so many statutes that we collaborated on writing, or ordinances that we
Ordinances, yeah.
collaborated on writing. And, so when we meet at step one, it'll just be, right, we'll have that part done.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. So
Right.
do we have that information from our like annual reports
From
already?
the annual report,
From the
it's-
annual-
a lot of it's on the
So-
website or links on the website, but it's not laid out in the way that you're saying. But you can probably gather a bunch of it from there.
Excellent. Yeah, to just do that pre-work.
Yeah, like
Right.
Yeah.
collate it
Mhm.
all in a usable format.
Right, and it'll
Yeah.
just be, spreadsheet, and then the documents will be attachments, and people can go back. And the nice thing about doing it is we can put in the hyperlinks, right?
Right.
So it
Yeah.
can take
Yeah.
you straight to where you need to go. I love it, doing stuff in advance.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I would say
it
like
definitely
basically
saves a lot of
everything
time, yeah.
on this will be
Yeah.
in advance. Like it wasn't my intention to
Okay.
have like entire meetings like on Wednesdays dedicated to this. It was always like gonna be some at-home work
And-
in preparation.
And I
Okay.
don't expect you to anticipate, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, please don't even explain. It was just in my worldview, I thought, I could capture a lot of this
Mhm.
and get it on that spreadsheet like tomorrow.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Right? And then
Yeah.
people could do the same, and then you'll have it.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
a
would be
starting
helpful
point.
to orient, like, as we fill out the survey and stuff. I think that would be really helpful to orient everybody and remind everybody what is included in the ordinances and how are we
Yeah.
doing right now. And then we can all, take that in as we respond. So, thank you for
Thank you.
volunteering.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it, because people, give you these SWOT analysis, right? And it's like, I don't know whether it's reasonable
Yeah.
to ask people that aren't paid to do, I don't even, right, 50 hours of volunteering, so setting that up as a goal, right?
Well, I would say that it's more so just like the analysis aspect of just saying like what is happening. It's not necessarily like how do I explain it? It's basically kind of just like each box is kind of like a way to record history in itself of just saying like this is just what it is overall, and then like once we capture that information, we reflect on it and everything, then I think that's where some of those conversations come from of just like, well, is this something that's reasonable? Is it not? And then what are those goals that come from it? But I would say like I feel like I'm hearing like a little, I guess like differences in how we're looking at the SWOT in a way.
No,
but- Okay.
No, we're not. I'm saying, all that I'm talking about is
Yes.
this whole thing.
Okay.
That was all I'm saying, like, before, one, let's do this thing.
All right. I guess I'm seeing it
And
as like
then-
a 1.5 in a way, where it's just like we still have like all those documents, but yours
Yeah.
is just more compiled and has like the additional numerical
Yeah,
quantitative aspects.
When you see it, it's just, like a spreadsheet
Yeah.
or a database
Yeah.
cover sheet.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't fall into or change any of what you've laid out,
Yeah. Okay. So let's.
right, just before. I just
Yeah.
want to, if we could even capture that, if everybody's in agreement, maybe that could be phase .5 or whatever, however you want to squeeze it in, so that
Yeah.
it repeats. Like then the next strategic plan, they can take that, right, and add to it or change it or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
Thank you.
do that. And consider that like a updated phase 1.
And
Yeah.
And then if you
Right.
could create that,
I
that would be
will,
great.
I will.
Right, thank you.
And none of what I said changes anything of
It's
what
just like an
you've laid
addition.
out. Exactly.
So you
Yeah.
will send it to us?
Hmm?
You will send it to us?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna develop it, and I'll put in my parts, and then we can all work on it together. That's what's so nice about the Google Doc, right?
Sounds good.
So Judy, you,
Sorry, I have a question. This is phenomenal. I just had some like pieces to touch on. So one thing that like pops out to me is the 3 priority areas is communications. Like I feel like 1 and 3, everyone we have in the room, we can answer those questions or come up with goals together. For 2, there's people whose like their whole job is to be a communications professional, and I feel like doesn't the city have those people? Like, can there be a consultant type person come in who like who's actual like has done communications for 20 years and can tell us how to approach this? Because I'm not a communications professional, and I feel like we could spend the whole 4 hours and then some just debating about the communication strategy and like outreach strategy, and that feels like a huge chunk to me. That like people have relevant expertise in that like I personally don't necessarily have.
so I can say something. I think was I saying that to you earlier? We kind of went through this a bunch of years ago, and because there are 80 commissions, the city does not want each commission to have its own Facebook site, its own Twitter account or X account. Not that anybody would want to be on that now, but I'm sorry. Or even, in other words, they want some control over the messages that are getting sent out because we do represent the city. So we are supposed to work through the communications department, and we do work with, and we have met with them. So we do have a good sense of what's possible and what we can ask them to do for us and the vehicles that we can use. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think there may be some more give than there was when we last asked, so we could
Yeah,
ask
so we could
again.
ask again.
Okay.
So what we could do is, we could either, before we meet, ask questions of them again so we can discuss it, or we can just make a list of the questions to ask them. Because they're, for us, it's going to be what messages do we want to get out. Then the how we get them out is we would probably work with the communications department again.
Yeah.
Or use Leslie's email list. Those are really or put information on our webpage to the extent the city allows it. Those are really the only 3 vehicles.
So so maybe having more information is kind of along the lines of what you were saying about like what are the limits and resources
Right.
available to us for
Right.
the communications piece, and like because I don't think it's that sustainable to have like a volunteer commission with no particular expertise in communication. Sorry if any of you are actually experts in communication. Okay.
We used to have somebody, but he's gone.
Okay, like that, like every time we have an event, we're designing our own flyers and coming up with
Yeah.
our own strategy and like making
Yeah.
our logos. Like no one here can make a logo. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right. Right.
so like
we
language
help
and
with
content
that.
literacy, that's a whole expertise about so like I kind of feel
Yeah.
like this communications thing maybe could be better scoped to like first of all in phase 1, highlighting what are the resources and limits of our that we have available, and then for this communications example exploration topics, like maybe scoping it a bit more to things that are like in our control. So if we know like, okay, here are our limits and here are our resources, maybe we're discussing what are the messages that we think are important to get out, or like those things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like making more
Yeah.
specific, because so that would be it.
One
Yeah.
of the things we can do is put goals for what that communication, how many people it should get to, who should it get to,
Yes.
and then find
Things like
out
that.
later how to get there.
Yeah, I think so, although even that, I feel like is something that a communications professional would have valuable expertise in determining, to be honest, like the whole, like, what is a reasonable campaign strategy for, somebody knows this stuff way better than us, I feel like, so why reinvent the wheel?
That's true.
I would say for this section, like in a way, I definitely agree having like expertise will be helpful. So even seeing if that could be either before or like during the session, like of having an additional, maybe like the city council communications person attend, we'll just see how that goes and everything. When it comes to certain aspects too, in terms of communications, it's usually helpful to, I guess we kind of already talked about it, but to develop the content, again, like of what we want to say, and then figure out the best modality to do that in a way. And then I guess we kind of already have a sense of some of those modalities, but I think for the communications part, it'll be, I guess, how do I explain it? It's more so, I guess, setting goals for, I'm not going to explain this right, but it's kind of like just like setting goals for what we want to communicate, but also setting goals for things we kind of like maybe like want to explore, or if we can revisit certain aspects, then what might some of those goals be, and then I don't know, I might just be talking in circles.
We're not going to get all the
Clarifying,
details.
like, we're not coming up with a logo together, but
No,
maybe our
yeah.
goal is like, we work with a logo designer next
Yes,
year,
exactly.
like request budget
Right.
from city council to hire a logo designer
Right.
for the HRC, or what something like that.
Or just
So-
even like recognition of like how are we going to get our logo like on different documents or
Although, I gotta
So
say,
that's
we
strategy.
tried this before.
Yeah.
The city is very, they want every web page to look the same.
Yep.
They won't let ours look different.
Which is a problem.
And
for
our
us.
logo is the city tree logo.
Yeah,
So we're kind of limited, although we can ask again.
okay.
We can ask again.
It is a problem because some of the people who are most interested in what we do, don't respond well to the tree. I mean, or to, you don't want the message to say it's from the city of Ann Arbor.
But we can
You want
talk
it to
about
say-
this more
Yeah,
during the
that's-
strategic
that's right.
planning.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, right. So go ahead.
Also, along the lines of sort of the theme that Sarah was raising as far as capacity to do all this prep work, and in the proposal, there was mention about surveys, and I had some concerns just about the work that would be involved in doing a sort of a valid survey. And as far as getting, I think we could probably rely on more impressionistic stuff. City council tells us what they want. We don't need to, I don't think, do a formal survey. As far as the public, and for our television watcher out there, if they want to tell us what they think, they're informed, but the general public may not have a lot of information about what are our mandates and our duties, and so I think we might be better off, rather than putting out a formal survey, just collecting that information in a
I
less
thought-
formal way.
Wasn't it just a survey for us commissioners, or no?
It
I think
says,
for city council members as well, like Lynn and I should talked about it at the previous meeting of just kind of again just do like a very quick kind of like SWOT of just like where are their perceptions of what we're like adding to
Yeah.
just feel
But not public.
well, it says community member. I would cross that off. That's the
Yeah.
one change I would make.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
yeah, so that would be
No,
like a change, but
in the best of all possible worlds, or how does that go? That.
best case scenario type of
No, Candide, yeah. Then yes, we would do that, but
Yeah.
given our limited,
I would say
bandwidth,
just
so we'll
for
cross that
city
off.
council, just literally asking like
Yeah.
those 4 questions of
Yeah.
what do you feel like we're doing well? Where do you feel like our areas for improvement are? What are maybe like potential opportunities for us to better work together, or things that you think that we should think about as we're going through our working process? So literally just like those 4 questions, get that information, completely anonymous, and hopefully like they answer. But
Yeah,
that
that's fine.
would be it. Just have like some type of
Just
Feedback.
city council?
yes.
Yeah.
City
We
council.
would ma- we
Commissioners.
would- would-
Commissioners and city council.
Right, I was just thinking of Maggie. We work with,
Oh, yeah,
She-
Margie.
very
Yeah,
closely
Margie.
with
Oh,
her.
yeah, that's a good idea.
right, I
Right,
was just
yeah.
wondering if ever.
Yeah, so we could say city council and other people who we work with in
right.
the
Yeah,
city.
that works.
I wonder if like recent former commissioners might be helpful.
Oh, if
too.
we can
don't
find
know if
them.
We have contacts.
Well,
I mean,
a
not like
couple.
it's the history
Yeah.
of the organization,
won't-
but
Yeah,
like.
it's not bad.
Maybe not so much this year.
You mean ask it?
Not really this year, I guess.
We certainly could ask the city administrator, for example.
Yeah.
And the police chief, who is brand new, we could ask.
Well, if we do the police chief, then we should do it.
We should do to the 2 deputies.
You've got to be a little
Especially
careful,
since we
because
help
once you
create.
start asking this one, then you're not
Sure.
asking that one.
Right.
I think,
Yeah.
I think, I think the people we really, so that would be city council and Margie, really.
That's right.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
too.
Can we make it anonymous mandatory?
Oh.
We have anonymous optional.
Yeah, we can do that. So for the survey then, that will be city council and Mark.
Margie, yeah, she's our person in the city attorney's office.
She's a
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be them for the survey, and then in terms of for the commissioners, I was thinking more so of just like a quick worksheet that basically has the same outline as a survey. I guess it's up to y'all if you have a preference for like, I don't know, if you would prefer to have it in a survey format, or if you would prefer to have it in just like a document with just like.
Questions?
Whatever's the
Questions?
simplest.
Yeah, that would be the easiest.
Okay. But yeah, I'll come up with like a visual aspect of it to hopefully make it as clear and straightforward, and it's just like, literally just plug it into the respective
into
space.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it
Okay.
should hopefully
Yeah.
be done. But I just want to make sure things are like in their own buckets to compile it and figure out that out.
you.
Does that get to your point as well?
So then,
Go ahead.
yeah, so then my question is, like, you'll see the broad data and compile it, or is everyone? Okay, cool.
I would assume it would just be the committee members that see like everything.
Everybody's gonna see everything.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I mean, it's, we all need to know, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I guess like would it be helpful? I guess like would everyone want to see everything, or would they want
Like
to see like the
compile feeds. Yeah.
like the committee can look at everything, find the overlaps, and then kind of like just reduce it and then
Yeah.
share it.
I like to
Kind of
look at
depends. If we
everything.
get a whole ton of stuff, then yeah, process it. If it's not a lot of
It
raw
probably
data,
won't be
then
a lot.
then don't
yeah,
bother. We
so-
can just
Yeah.
Yeah.
read it ourselves.
I'd like to look at everything, so maybe just put me on the committee.
Yeah, space.
Yeah.
And then my other process question is for the 4-hour thing. Are you facilitating, or how are we doing? What's the process?
I would say hopefully I could facilitate it and everything with the guidance of the group. I do have a background in like strategic planning and management, and have done quite a few. It's like project in relation to strategic planning, so can do that overall and just make sure that we have like that outline agenda sent out to people, have that plan in place overall. Because I'm just not, I guess like I'm not sure when it
That's
comes to
fine.
like billing and like outside
Yeah.
people, like how.
I felt great about you facilitating. The only thing would be, would you feel like you have your own personal input into the process? Because as facilitator, you kind of have to be a little neutral about like differing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think
so I
it's,
just would wanna make
it's
sure you take your
difficult.
voice heard.
It's difficult
Yeah.
to participate and facilitate.
Yeah.
What did we do the last time? Leslie,
I-
you did it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, I was,
It
we're
worked.
such a small group.
Yeah.
It was so informal.
Okay.
We had a whiteboard. It wasn't, and we're not dealing with conflict. Like I'm a mediator, Leslie's a mediator. You're dealing with group facilitation where you've got like, that's not what we're doing. It's more like brainstorming and, it's,
Yeah.
so it's just writing things down. It's,
And
I know.
Maybe we give Brandon permission to, after the
Yeah.
meetings,
Right.
if you didn't get an opportunity, you could just add stuff.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
like
as
I
you're processing.
upfront, and
But I
then
do
you
want to
can,
be
you know,
sure we
Yeah.
don't lose his thought.
Oh,
on
sure.
something.
Yeah, my thoughts will be included. I'll find a way.
actually, we
and
can take
everything.
turns. We can just.
Yeah, that's a great
I
idea.
feel like
That's
it'll.
That's a
Yeah,
great
or you
idea.
can just say,
There it
like, hey,
is.
I'm putting my
Perfect.
commissioner hat back on
Yeah.
instead
There
of
you
my
go. Oh, it's
facilitator
perfect.
hat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that's
kind of
fine.
see it more so just like
Perfect.
facilitating conversation, but like input-wise, I still plan on
Right.
Yeah.
providing the
Yeah.
insight, but kind of just making sure that we're gonna stay on track and
Yeah.
push things forward.
That's-
So it's like, it'll be a balance.
It's more like chairing a meeting, really.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it-
Oh, I have one other, did you want to say
So
something? Wait, I had one other thing. Sarah's leaving, unfortunately,
Yeah.
May?
I think my
May
term is
30th.
in May, although you said
31st?
there's like a grace period
I'm
if we're
gonna
not
check on
quite
that. We
finished,
don't know
but
that.
yeah.
Okay.
I
I
would
just-
like,
yeah.
I guess I was gonna ask, should I participate in this?
I mean, if you're here and you want to, yeah, you should.
Okay.
But I was wondering if you're not here, then we'd be down 2 people, right? Yeah,
Who else is
At
leaving?
that time, yes.
Yeah.
Well, right now, unless we find somebody soon.
Who's leaving?
right.
We have somebody
have an
leaving.
opening
We've got
now.
somebody gone.
So there's
Right.
one current
No.
vacant position currently?
Yeah.
And then when
It's
you
supposed to be
turn
9 and we only
Aiden
have
is gone.
Yeah, I knew it.
Oh, Right, so we haven't replaced Aiden yet. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And we may have identified some people, some
Yeah, yeah, if you know anybody who.
candidates.
Yeah. And so I just thought it wouldn't be ideal to do this with, if you were gone and we had an opening, it'd be better
If we're
to
doing May,
wait.
it's fine, but I'll be
Okay.
leaving like
Okay.
mid-July, late
Okay.
July, something.
Okay,
Yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, we should
that's
hopefully
fine. We'll
definitely
always have people coming and
clap
going.
this done by
Yeah, okay.
July. So, yeah, we'd love to have your insight
Great.
and
Okay,
feedback.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so Judah has a motion on the table?
That's right.
Yeah.
I did
I
it
move
all
that
backwards,
with
but
the,
yeah.
taking into account the changes from the discussion as Raina presented, that we adopt this proposal.
I'll second it.
There were a lot of proposed changes,
There were.
Judah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I'm not going to
That's fine.
enumerate.
We
Oh,
got a
wait, we have
second?
Kennedy.
Point of clarification, we would be making a motion to approve the strategic plan outline with the amended
Approve the
changes.
street plan outline as we
Discussed.
discussed.
With the
Okay,
changes.
so,
So,
I mean, I like the time frame. I don't think we changed the time frame, but.
Okay, we don't actually, we don't really
You know
have to
what,
have a
you
formal
know what,
vote,
Judah,
honestly.
Judah,
No, I
Judah,
don't, but
I'm fine.
but we do want to do
we're
this.
still holding you to the grid,
Well,
and Jenny's going to facilitate,
Yes.
and, you know,
I'm
we can talk
good.
other
We don't
stuff.
have to have a vote.
I'm
We can just
good.
say we're good with it.
But we have a proposal, and we have a second.
Okay.
and we're very appreciative, you
Point of
the work.
information, are we approving the strategic
Yes.
plan as a motion, or are we just going to say okay about it and start working on it? What's the,
I don't know.
Okay, I will amend my motion to change its status from motion to a sense of the room, that we capture sense of the room, that we like the proposal as discussed, and we'll move forward. And it's an evolving document which will,
The motion has been removed, there is no motion.
There is no motion.
At the current time, the
Right.
strategic plan is outlined, and you all will get started on our work.
Right, but then it's fluid. I like
exactly,
the
it's fluid
Well, it's going
and
to be
it will
regardless
adapt to
because
changes,
it's working
as it was always planned, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So we're on enough, we're moving right along. Okay. HRC business, I want you to know that I sent the outreach letter that we agreed that we would send. We went to 577 people. I wondered why it was so much more than we had been sending to. And it turns out that people can subscribe to having notices from us.
Oh, good.
And when they do,
Oh,
they get added to the list. And so our list is growing and becoming more useful.
So over 500 people had subscribed to receive.
That's right. and
That's great.
That's
That, we can capture that, see, that's the kind of thing.
You
Because
have
whatever we've
numbers.
done inexpertly
Okay.
is getting out.
Is there a way to see like, I guess like when those subscriptions happened, or if there was like an event that it was associated with, or anything
think
like
so.
that?
So, because I'm the staff liaison, I monitor it, so it does give us a date and a time that the subscriber did get
Really?
added to our email list. It does not provide me with their contact information, it only provides me with their email address.
Not even their
How far back
names.
does it go in time?
I mean, the spreadsheet, we looked at it today, there were 30 sheets,
Okay.
so it goes that far back.
Do you know the earliest date is?
Oh,
I don't have the exact date, but if you need me to look,
Ballpark?
I can.
You mean
Yeah, just a
the
ballpark.
begin- you mean the beginning of that,
I don't understand
that list? Because that list is quite old.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
No, it is. That
Yeah.
list is, we keep,
but how do people sign up for this? Where is this sign, the
So,
magical sign?
there's,
This is the process. So on the a2.gov website, there
Yeah.
is a sign up for notifications. Community members can go on there, put their information in to sign up for notifications. Once they sign up, they are then allowed to pick what subscriber list that the city and Ann Arbor offers that they would like to be subscribed to. The Human Rights Commission is one of the subscriber lists that they can click on as one of the commissions that they would like to receive notifications from.
Can we do a link on our page to the page that
That's a
collects
good-
the subscriptions?
If that
Yeah.
is something you guys would like to do,
That'd be good.
we
Yeah,
can
great
add a
idea.
subscribe to the page link.
Cool.
Yeah. I wonder how long
I wonder how many this year?
Because in the past,
We had
when we
230 starting
Oh, yes.
probably about 5 years ago, when IPOC was being set up.
But we were not using this system.
It's not
It
the
was-
system, but these are the same, but that's the first 230 of these
Right,
570.
but I'm just wondering at what point we were added to this city system. In the past, when
Oh,
we
no,
would
we
send
never-
out an email,
no,
it
that's
was the
brand new.
old-fashioned,
That's
you know,
brand new.
HRC to HRC and blind copy the other 250.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
So this is only
That's
since
great.
Kennedy has come on, am I aware that we've used this
No,
other system?
Denise used it.
Denise did
Yeah,
use
that's-
it?
that was
Denise
his-
Okay.
had it set up before I did.
Okay, so it's been around for just a couple of years then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Fantastic.
Yeah.
okay.
And our list can't be shared by anybody, which is also important.
Oh,
because
this
some
is
of the
great.
people went on our
Okay.
list silently.
Okay, thanks, Kennedy.
Um,
Okay.
But it's an interesting list. I mean,
Just
it's-
a link.
And
on
we
our
do
page.
get
Yeah, I don't know where it would be though.
people,
If you want to talk to
you know,
me
when we
about
went
it.
to Juneteenth, we had people sign up. We have people sign up occasionally.
Oh, okay, okay, great, okay.
And I'll bet you're right that our contact, the contact we just had from
Right.
from the radio station
Yeah.
might have been
Yeah.
triggered from that.
Right, right,
Good.
So why did that come up?
okay. It's all right. You sent the outreach
Oh,
letter.
it's because, yes,
Okay, great,
I have not heard from anybody about it. I don't think,
okay.
but they have our address is on there.
Right.
So we will hear if anybody is interested. Ban the box for city
I did
contractors.
contact Margie to find out whether the contractors have been notified about the change to the non-discrimination ordinance, which now requires them to not ask for criminal history until a conditional offer has been made. And I don't think that they had, but because I asked, there now is on the purchasing page, big notice saying change, you know, this is now the new requirement. So that was just added within the last day or two, I think. The other thing is the poster that contractors have to post that describes the non-discrimination ordinance requirements is outdated because it hasn't been updated since 2018. So Margie's now aware of that, and we've been emailing back and forth about the changes that are needed, but before it becomes official, we can, you know, share it, especially Pam and Leslie are the ones who worked with contractors with, yeah, all that compliance business. So you might want to take a look, make sure we didn't miss anything else. So it's like, it still talked about the 180 days requirement, which thanks to Keita we got rid of. It's missing some of the protected classes like ethnicity and government issued
Hair covering,
identification card.
hairstyle,
Right,
And
ID,
and when that was done before, we didn't have
and ID.
ID, right. And when that was created in 2018, there wasn't a way to,
Housing isn't on there either.
there wasn't a way to submit the complaint online. Now there is, so all of that just needed to be changed.
Yeah, sounds
And
good.
she's working on it, should be done in the next day or two.
However, that is, I think it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
Yeah.
And that's a lot on one piece of paper. It really should be
You know, it's
a
not so bad
poster.
now.
You don't think it's so
No,
bad?
mm-mm. I took a look at it, and actually, we're deleting some of it, because the 180 days actually took up a lot of space.
Oh, good.
With several sentences.
We
So,
might want to look at it. It's
Yeah.
one thing I think that we ought
Okay.
to, I'm starting to think about things that we would like to pay for, would like and have to pay for if we get them. I think this poster might be one of them. Because everything else every government poster that needs to be in Human Resources office of any contractor is big and has a nice picture on it, and ours is.
well, but remember, these things get emailed typically.
Yes, that's true.
It's not like the old days.
It's not like the old days. I don't know how it gets posted. But
Or, yeah, that's kind of my point about the communications and stuff. Like, is it being
Yeah.
Is Margie,
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
less Margie, but I don't know if she's a poster designer. or
No, she's not.
No, she
We
does,
need to
we
look
have
into
worked
it,
with her. We do have that fair chance access to housing tenants' rights poster. And that was one instance where we worked with Margie, who worked with somebody in communications. And it kept going back and forth, because we wouldn't have been able to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Was going to say
Maybe
one other
Brandon.
thing about the, Margie did, Margie at first was thinking I was asking about contractor compliance with the new ban the box, as opposed to just notification so that they were aware of it. So she did say that the new woman who's the diversity, equity, and inclusion person is going to be working on making sure that contractors are in compliance with the NGO and ISIM, this new provision. So we can check in with her too.
Well, but does that mean then that aspect of the non-discrimination ordinance isn't in our?
No, it is, but she's new, and so she's just making, which is good because.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to
I think
know.
Margie was saying we should work with her to make sure that it happens.
I just want to be sure, yeah, it is.
Yeah, no,
that.
it's a
Okay.
good question.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So that's that.
great.
Anyway, so that's good. That's change.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is good. Sarah?
Okay. Yeah. So I talked to Margie last week. Grateful to get on her calendar. She's got a lot
She's
going
been
on lately.
sick, yeah,
Yeah. She gave me a life update, so I was like, oh wow, yes, very legitimate. So basically, the two issues that we were looking at were gender affirming restroom ordinances. Our lowest hanging fruit, like there are many things you could consider doing, but the easiest thing we wanted to do first was, can we mandate that single stall bathrooms be gender neutral? Currently in the state building code, you have to pointlessly gender your single stall bathrooms as male or female. And many people don't do it, but obviously no one's reporting them, of course. So for that one, I thought that was going to be the easiest piece to deal with, but actually, she said she's gotten pushback from her superiors because they're worried that if Ann Arbor tried to pass something like this, basically the state delegates the city to enforce the building code and do inspections and all that stuff, and they don't want that power to get taken away from them. So if we pass something that could contradict the state building code, then if the state got mad at us, they could theoretically retaliate by taking away their powers, and the city doesn't want that to happen. What she did say, though, is that her office responsibility is to explain the potential legal ramifications, and it is the power of the city council to decide how they want to proceed regardless of that. So she said with the conversion therapy ban, she told them that this could be legally questionable, but it was the right thing to do, so city council moved forward with it anyway. So I was hoping that Lynn and Aisha would be here to deliver this, because it's really a message for them that they need to decide if city council wants to try to move forward with it anyway. She did say that so they're considering a revision to the state building code now at the state level that would remove the requirement that you pointlessly gender your single stall bathrooms, but it wouldn't you could do it if you wanted to, basically. It wouldn't go as far as saying you have to make them gender inclusive. So once that actually gets accepted, then we would no longer have this legal conflict and we can pass what we want to, it sounds like, but there's no timeline on that. It sounds like the legislature has to vote to adopt it. It's wending its way through an extremely bureaucratic process. It's already a year behind or more. So there's no guarantee of when that will come through or not. So basically, city council just has to decide, do they want to move in advance of that? Do they want to wait for it? Yes, did you have a question?
I do, but
Yeah.
keep talking.
I'll pause there. That was my first update on the bathroom.
So
part.
my question was, so if I am a man and I have a baby and I need to change my baby, are there designated family single stalls?
You don't know. It's single stalls have to be gendered.
Right, I'm saying, so there is no provision then that if for
I've heard
those
that-
sort of family
I think
needs
she told me that
are-
there is actually a provision that they're supposed to put changing tables in the men's rooms, but they don't always do that, of course.
Right,
So.
okay. So no requirement, no
Yeah.
families?
Yeah, but I've had my husband take our kid into the bathroom and he comes out and says, sorry, there's no changing table.
You'll
have to do
Like,
it.
the environment is like assigning our gender roles.
Yeah.
It's like the whole
Right.
thing, so,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Anyway,
Wait.
any other comments or questions about the bathroom?
Thank you, though.
Okay, so I will just get in touch with Lynn and Aisha and Travis,
Okay.
I guess, because he was interested.
Yeah,
in it.
that's-
I do, then,
Yes.
I do still, well, then what's going on in the schools?
If
If
there's
they
single
don't,
stall-
if there's a single
If they're
stall?
single stalls, technically by state building code, they have to be gendered. I was standing outside of 2 single stall bathrooms the other day and was mad about this because the men's room was empty, but the women's room was occupied. So anyway,
Okay, just curious. So the-
personal relevance.
Okay,
So anyway, so I will connect with city council members about that. Then the other piece, which I thought was going to be harder, was protecting gender affirming care and reproductive health care. So there's kind of 2 potential types of laws that people have passed. The sanctuary laws, which protect patients who are seeking gender affirming care or reproductive health care. And then there are what they call shield laws, which protect providers from if they provide these kinds of care, they cannot like be prosecuted or what have you, or like the city won't devote resources to prosecuting them. So I thought that was going to be more difficult because most of those laws have been passed on the state level, but she said that she has looked into it and she thinks she can actually write something, so she's trying to write something up about this. She said it's tricky, like it's hard to make it have as many teeth as like a state level law would have, of course, but it might send a positive signal and be better than nothing potentially. So I think we set up, we're going to send her a.
I guess this may be a naive question, given that that on the state level now, we're doing better with, on those issues. Is it needed on the city level?
Yeah, I think, like, I'm not a legal expert, obviously, in
Yeah.
this. My understanding is that it's one of those things that administrations come and go. This would be something that would be in place regardless. You guys could probably say more about this, the lawyers in the room, but it would be something in place, and also it's kind of a, symbolic, like, people feel more, because a lot of these like anti-trans legislations, anti-abortion legislation, it's not even about, people don't even know what's the letter of the law exactly. It's more about like, I'm so scared I won't even provide like care to this whole group of patients, or I won't even do anything remotely close to this, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like sends a counter message that like
Right.
actually in our city we we care about this type of care.
Right, I'm sorry, I was
Yeah.
thinking about the other piece of it,
Yeah.
not so much that. I see it when it comes to that, yeah. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Mhm.
One has to do with like the shield protection. Did you get any sense, or did it come up as to whether doctors from other states with very limiting laws, are we getting an influx of doctors?
Like patients coming in?
Or are they having, are there any threats that might affect the doctors?
I know like from anecdotal conversations with colleagues at Michigan Medicine that they were like, it would be really nice if we had some kind of shield law, because just all these laws make us nervous basically,
Yeah.
right? And
That
so
makes
like
sense.
having some kind of counter message I think would be appreciated. But yeah.
But we don't have one?
Like a shield law
Yeah.
currently? No, we don't
No,
have
okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do now have like abortion rights in our state constitution.
that's
So
what I
she
was
mentioned
thinking.
that it
Yeah.
seems less, that piece seems
Yeah.
maybe less
Right.
needed now that it's like constitutionally
Right,
in
that's,
there.
that's what I was thinking.
But there's also the gender affirming care
Yeah.
piece as well.
Which makes more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Because you're right, that could change at any moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The UK just banned puberty blockers for adolescents outside of clinical trials and like, so, you know, like anything can happen, kind of, you know, so.
Of course, if the state passes a law and we have this shield law, it's not really clear how much effect
Yeah,
it would have.
it's
It's
definitely-
symbolic.
It's symbolic,
Yeah.
it may, you know, some minor protection or positive messaging,
Smart,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything about conversion therapy?
Oh, I did, so I checked in with colleagues at the Movement Advancement Project and the Trevor Project, which are, so they said that they have not created, and so Leslie asked, like, we're not getting any complaints from youth saying that, like, they were subjected to conversion therapy. Are we just not hearing about it? Are there, like, should we be putting up posters just for advertising the NDO about, like, the conversion therapy ban? So neither Trevor nor Matt have created anything like that. They were kind of like intrigued. They were like, if you guys want to make something, we're happy to advise and, you know, talk to you about it. But
We do not enforce that one, though. That's not in our purview.
No, well, but we could
I mean, we can
educate
inform
about it.
people that it
I was
exists,
wondering
but
if we
it's-
need to educate about it,
Yeah. Right.
because when we wrote that and got it approved, it was primarily sexual orientation that conversion therapy was targeting, and now they're targeting any kind
Everything.
of transition.
No, at the point when it was written, there
included-
was a,
yeah, it
no, I'm
included,
saying, there was
yeah.
a terrible movement nationally around violence against transgender kids being in religious contexts, being taken through these conversion programs.
Trevor did say they're working on an education campaign now, but they don't have anything ready.
Within the religious structure, I don't know of any sort of therapy-based,
It
just
wasn't in the
religious ones.
forefront when we talked to Trevor at the time, or with any of the groups, but now it is more, so maybe we need to look at the wording, but I just wondered if, because we never had any information.
Again, I don't know that we would hear about it. The ordinance is on our website, so people can be aware of it,
Right.
but I'm not sure we would know. If there, it's,
Would
I
potentially.
can't remember, didn't we decide it's a criminal matter? How did we, remember we went back and forth
I
on
think so,
the
because I
civil?
think police are,
Right, it would end up being,
we're not,
yeah.
it doesn't go through us.
I'd have to take a look at the
I
ordinance.
know a person that was snatched off the streets of Ann Arbor and taken.
Really?
A long time ago, way before
okay.
I even made it to college. You know, this was just her experience of what happened to her. Terrible.
Well, that's
Terrible.
And it's, you know, it's happening elsewhere, it probably is happening here in places that we don't.
Yeah.
But that's why I asked, because anytime I can get any kind of information about that, I'd like to, because I think we may need to make it more.
So it sounds like I'll let them know if they have some kind of campaign, we would love to use it, but we're not planning
Absolutely.
to create anything
Please,
ourselves. Is that
yes.
right? Okay.
And
I'll
they
follow up
probably,
with that.
will remember us.
Okay.
And, yeah, just to confirm, yeah, any violations of this are supposed to be reported to the Ann Arbor Police Department.
Okay. Yeah.
So the city prosecutor would
Yeah.
prosecute. Right.
Yeah.
So I guess along those lines, is that something that we would want to be informed of? Like if they have it, data or information, is that something that we want to know in case
Yeah,
we
we
need
can-
to? Okay.
Sure.
And how are we going to do that?
We can talk about it at the strategic
That's right,
planning meeting.
that's right.
We'll see if we'll be.
That's right. We are coming down to the end of our agenda, and we do not have anything from city council, but we can deal with that. Some of you know that they've been working on a facial recognition resolution, and they're just holding it because the police chief is brand new. one thing at a time, but that's coming up soon. Coming up soon also is the a resolution that IPOC would like us to join them in, and it's a resolution that's very similar to one we made, I think, probably 2 years ago, saying that it's important for us that traffic stop data continue to be collected and in a form that can be analyzed. That it's now it's on a dashboard, but there's questions even if it's done right.
Oh, I thought we'd stop. I thought there were no more. Are there still traffic stops at night? Or do we have a?
What they don't have is traffic stops for nuisance things, like you have your license have or
So we've
broken window or lights. All those.
But they can still stop people at night.
Of course.
Oh no, I was for traffic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But the question is the traffic stop?
Yeah.
Does it continue, especially after the new ordinance? We want to, in a couple of years, monitor whether it's still going on, and that's going to be important. So they want us to come in with that. Other than that, I think we ought to go and finish up the meeting. Is that
Elections.
the elections? That's the last thing on the meeting. Ham.
So, each of you received the email communication relative to our annual requirement, really, to select officers for the next year, and invited to share any nominees that you would like to be considered. I received one email communication to address both of the positions, both chairperson and vice chair, and will afford all of us at this time the opportunity by opening up the nominations if anyone would like to offer any names in addition to the two that I have received. And so just for full transparency, we have received the names of Leslie Standby and Judah Garber. Leslie as chairperson, Judah as vice chair. So nominations are open if anyone wants to nominate any others beyond the two that I have received. So seeing none, I'm going to close the nominations, and we will then act on the ones that we have received. So we are small in number. I was going to bring paper and have you write it down, but we're just going to do it. Not going to prolong this any more than what we do. We'll take them in order, however. So for the position of chair, Leslie Standby has been nominated. Please indicate your preference by raising your right hand if you are in favor of Leslie being returned as our chair.
Well, I have a question. Are you prepared to serve?
That's a good question. That's right.
So all in favor of Leslie being returned as chairperson for 2024 of the Human Rights Commission, please raise your right hand. Are there any that are opposed? Seeing none, we will then return Leslie as our chairperson, and then the same question.
I don't know, we need a motion on this.
Didn't make a motion. Yeah.
Do we?
I just stated it.
He didn't make a motion.
Yes. I just need a second then. Second?
Okay, sure, a second.
All right, so I moved.
Okay, I second it.
Okay.
Gina,
Cowan and Linda Winkler. Okay, thank you.
See, without you, the process, we can't even.
And I'm good with process.
All righty, then as facilitating this, I'll entertain a motion for returning Judah Garber as our vice chair for 2024 of the Ann Arbor Human Rights Commission.
I will do that.
Okay,
I second.
thank you. All in favor?
Wait a minute, Judah, are you prepared to serve?
Yes. Good question.
Love the enthusiasm.
Run you off, yeah.
I did.
So Linda, Judah.
Linda did, and I seconded Linda.
Okay.
Gotta be accurate, yeah. Okay?
Yay.
Seeing
Okay.
none opposed, the motion carries. Right.
Muzzle tov.
You guys did a great job, thank you.
Yes, you did.
Because, your service.
Yeah, many years. Okay.
I have one other question, and I think we can go, and that is, we have the results of the 2021 strategic planning meeting. Things that we accomplished during that meeting. If you would like, I will send you all a copy.
Yes, please do.
It's actually interesting. One of the things I was going to ask about, or just mention, because it became a factor last time. Last time we talked about, and we sort of agreed, although it was not quite as formal, that we talk about internal affairs, and we talk about at least one kind of factor that we would want, where so much of our stuff is reactive. This would be something we would decide we wanted to work on all year, and we keep working, it'd be something that was an anchor for us. And in the last strategic planning meeting, that was what we came up with. But
Wait a minute, what was the anchor from last one?
we never came up with an anchor. We
Oh,
talked
we didn't?
all the time about
Oh, okay.
how we work together, and
Okay.
came up with lots of different things that we would do to improve our work. It's always a danger, and you don't want to do that again. So I hope that you think about both pieces, and maybe even decide which one is really more important before we get on one track, which always leads to and this, and then pretty soon you're out of time.
Can the one thing be like a category of things? For instance, we respond to human rights crises as people bring them to us, right, nationally and
That we
internationally.
always do.
Right, but we also, as we identify human rights issues, collaborate to write resolutions and ordinances. I mean, could that count as a thing, or do you want just one substantive project, like an issue?
Well, I don't know. The only thing about, it seems to me that what happens for us, or what's happened in the past, is we often have a complaint that or somebody comes in and walks through the door and gives a speech, and all of a sudden we've got an ordinance that we want to think about, and then finally want to
Well, no, I was just asking if this anchor thing is a one issue thing or a one category of
I was
things?
thinking it was a one-issue thing, but I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, there may be issues that,
Seems like a good thing to talk about at the strategic plan.
Well, that's
And also, one of the things
Yeah.
among the things I liked about Brandon's plan is that we would then keep that on the agenda afterwards. So
Yes.
we can
Yes, that's
keep
important.
in mind those anchors and other items that we want in the forefront of our attention
Right.
as a regular part of our agenda, so they don't just get put in the door.
that's a big thing.
And then, so we could have more than one anchor if you want, I don't know.
Yeah.
But as long as we
Okay.
keep it in mind and keep working on it.
I will say one thing, the timeline probably get updated, so.
That's fine.
Just
Yeah.
put that out there. 'cause
Except
also-
everyone's,
It's like fluid like water.
Sooner or earlier, basically.
It's just hopefully, I think it'll just be like a couple days delayed
Yeah.
type of thing, so yeah, we definitely want you to,
Okay.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
Are we off?
I don't know.
What time is it? 8:30.